The red light in the Joe Rogan Experience studio flickered as the moment 200 million listeners had been waiting for finally arrived. The host of the world's most popular podcast, Joe Rogan, leaned confidently toward his mic. Today's guest, how should I put this, than Hollywood's quietest man. Some say he's mysterious, others say wise, but me, I just say he's overrated. Before we dive back in, make sure to subscribe for more emotional Keanu moments like this. All right, back to the story. The studio producer, Jamie, glanced at Rogan in shock. That wasn't something you say before the guest even arrives. But Rogan continued, Keanu Reeves, was he good in The Matrix? Sure. But this whole silent, cool guy image? Come on, man. Anyone can stand still in front of a camera. Real talent is staying interesting for 3 hours. Comments were already pouring in. Joe started off hard. He's gonna destroy Keanu. Finally, someone said it. The door opened. Keanu Reeves walked in. Black t-shirt, black jeans, minimalist. There wasn't a hint of the Hollywood star pose Rogan had been expecting. Just a calm man. Joe, Keanu said, nodding slightly. Rogan stood up. They shook hands. Keanu's grip was warm but controlled, neither a power move nor a sign of weakness. Welcome, man. Sit. Whiskey, kombucha, DMT? Rogan laughed at his own joke. Water, Keanu replied. Jamie brought water. Keanu thanked him, looking him in the eye. A small gesture, but Rogan noticed. Let's get started, Rogan said, putting on his headset. First question, this silent guy image. Is it real or Hollywood PR? Keanu placed the glass on the table. Paused for a moment. Not an image. That's it? 2 words? Rogan was surprised. Dude, this is a 3-hour podcast. People came to hear you talk. I didn't come to be heard. Rogan paused. What? I came to listen. There was a silence in the studio. Rogan's face shifted. Confusion, maybe discomfort. All right, he said, adjusting in his seat. Then I'll talk. Let's start with The Matrix, 1999. You were a nobody, then boom. Neo. Your life changed. How did it feel? It didn't. What didn't? I didn't. Rogan laughed, but tension laced it. Right, bro, you never changed. Millions of dollars, global fame, and you're still the same Keanu. Who actually believes that? Keanu shrugged. Belief isn't required. What about River Phoenix, your best friend? Didn't you change when he died? For the first time, a flicker passed over Keanu's face. Not pain, just recognition. I changed, but inward. What do you mean inward? I didn't show it. I didn't make it a performance. Rogan leaned forward. But pain should be shared. Therapy, expression, letting it out. For whom? What? When you share your pain, who is it for? For you or for others? Rogan paused. The chat was blowing up. Joe's wrecking him. Keanu's lost. Why'd he even come on? Rogan won. Keanu 0. Rogan saw the comments. His confidence surged. Look, I meditate too. Got a sensory deprivation tank, but this obsession with silence. People want connection. What are you giving them? Space. Space? What kind of space? Space to find themselves. What does that even mean? Some new age nonsense? Just, when you talk, people hear you. When I'm silent, they hear themselves. Rogan grumbled inside. He was getting tired of this philosophical back and forth. All right, Guru, what about stand-up? Ever been on stage? Tried comedy? No, of course not, because if you stood silent on stage, you'd get booed off. I make thousands of people laugh every night. You? I make them cry. What? With my films. Sometimes crying is necessary. Rogan got irritated. Oh, come on. So now crying is better than laughter? Not better, just different. Minimal answers for everything. Don't people get bored of you? Keanu looked Rogan straight in the eye for the first time. Are you bored? And in that moment, Rogan realized he wasn't. In fact, every short answer made him more curious. But he couldn't admit that. I don't get bored. I get curious. That's why I ask, who is Keanu Reeves behind the silence? Who is Joe Rogan behind the noise? Rogan paused. What do you mean? Have you ever been silent? Truly silent? Of course, I sleep every night. While awake, Rogan was uncomfortable. I think through speaking. That's my way. What if you didn't speak? Then I couldn't think. Have you tried? Silence. This one lasted 10 seconds. Then Rogan pulled himself together. Look, man, you're a method actor. You train for roles. Guns for John Wick, martial arts for The Matrix. What about for the real Keanu? How do you prepare for him? Keanu almost smiled. Every day. How? By staying silent. That's not an answer. Maybe it's the wrong question. Sweat began to form on Rogan's forehead. This was his studio, his rules, his game, but he was losing control. All right, let me ask this. Why do you talk so little? Why do you talk so much? Because it's my job. Is it your job or what? Keanu didn't speak. His gaze stayed on Rogan, waiting. Or what? Rogan repeated louder now. You tell me. And for perhaps the first time in his life, Rogan couldn't finish his sentence, because the word that came to mind was escape, and he couldn't say that out loud. It was minute 47 of the podcast. Rogan had finished his third coffee. Keanu was still sipping his first glass of water. The energy gap between them was becoming more and more obvious. Okay, let's talk action for a bit, Rogan said, trying to change the subject. John Wick, you do your own stunts. You're in your 50s. Why? To make it real. A stunt double would have been real too. It wouldn't have been my reel. Rogan leaned forward. That's it. That attitude. Everyone talks about how authentic you are, but dude, we're all performing. You, me, everyone. Life's a performance. Your life? Rogan paused. What do you mean? Are you performing right now? I'm just being myself, Joe Rogan, same guy, mic on or off. Keanu tilted his head slightly. That look. Rogan had never been looked at like that before. Not judged, just seen. Does your wife know you? Keanu asked suddenly. Rogan was caught off guard. Of course she does. We've been married for 20 years. Which version of you does she know? What do you mean, which version? Podcast Joe, comedian Joe, UFC Joe, or just Joe? Rogan's fingers started tapping a nervous rhythm on the table. They're all me. They're parts of me. What about the whole? The whole? What's left when you put the pieces together? Rogan took a deep breath. The conversation wasn't going the way he wanted. The man sitting across from him wasn't loud, but he was relentless. He hadn't stepped into any of Rogan's comfort zones. And now, Joe felt cornered. Silence. This time it lasted 15 seconds. The chat was going wild. Keanu destroyed him. Joe can't answer. Is this even real? Rogan began, then stopped. What's your deal, man? Why are you even here? To mess with me? No. Then why? You invited me. But why did you accept? You never do podcasts. You rarely even give interviews. Keanu took a sip of water. Sometimes silence isn't enough. Sometimes you need to speak. There it is! Finally, then speak. What do you want to say? Not to you, with you. Isn't that the same? Not even close. Rogan stood up and started pacing the studio. You know, I've done over 2,000 podcasts. Scientists, philosophers, comedians, fighters. I've spoken with all of them, but you, what about me? You're not speaking. You're like a mirror. And He stopped. He didn't know what to say. And you? Keanu asked gently. I don't like my reflection. The confession hung in the air. Jamie looked in nervously from the production booth. This wasn't Joe Rogan. This was a vulnerable, fractured man. Why? Keanu asked. Rogan sat back down. His hands were shaking. Because the man I see is tired. Always talking, always performing, always on. And I don't even know why anymore. You do. No, I don't. You do. You just don't want to say it. Rogan's voice cracked. I'm scared, okay? I'm scared that if I stop talking, I'll disappear. Who is Joe Rogan without the voice? Nothing. Who is Joe Rogan with the voice? That question stopped him. I'm my father's son, he said finally. He talked a lot too. We argued all the time. Who's right, who's smarter, who's tougher. Then he died. And I'm still talking. But I don't even know who I'm arguing with anymore. With yourself? What? You've been arguing with yourself for 32 years and no one's winning. Rogan's eyes welled up. How did you know? 32 years. Because I haven't spoken to my sister in 47. She died too. But I went quiet. You talked. We both tried to deal with the same pain. And neither of us succeeded until we stopped fighting the pain. Rogan was crying now. He wasn't hiding it. 200 million people were watching Joe Rogan cry. There was a moment, Keanu said. In 2003, I was in Peru. I closed my eyes and there she was, my sister, sitting, smiling. She didn't speak. And you? Me too. I just sat 6 hours, no words. How did you bear it? I didn't. For the first time, I was truly with her, not trying to talk, not trying to fix anything, just being. And and she left. But this time I let her. Rogan took a deep breath. I couldn't let my dad go. I'm still arguing with him every day, every podcast, as if I win, he'll come back. No, but at least I'll be right. Right to who? Rogan went silent, really silent. 30 seconds, 47 seconds, then to myself. Tears rolled down Rogan's cheeks and a different kind of atmosphere settled in the studio. 200 million listeners were holding their breath. For 32 years, Rogan said, trying to steady his voice, I haven't visited my father's grave. Keanu didn't move. He just listened. Every day I talk. Comedy clubs, UFC commentary, the podcast, hours and hours. But with him, I never said a word, not after he went silent. Maybe, Keanu said gently. When you stop talking, you'll finally hear him. Rogan shook his head. If I stop talking, who am I? Joe Rogan is the guy who speaks, who jokes, who asks, who leads. If I go quiet, you become Joe. 2 words, but they shattered him. I've got a $200 million deal with Spotify, Rogan said, half laughing. They're not paying for silence. What are they paying for your soul? Rogan couldn't answer. The chat exploded. Holy shit. Joe is crying. Historic moment. Keanu is the real king. Jamie signaled from the production booth. Should we cut? Rogan shook his head. No, let them see. You know, Rogan said, the real reason I invited you and I wanted to break you, to tear down the whole silent, cool Keanu thing, show people that you're fake too. I know. You knew. I felt it. And you still came? Sometimes you need to break. The right way. I'm breaking right now. No, you're opening. Rogan took a deep breath. For the first time on, truly the first, he turned off his mic. Live, with 200 million people watching. Silence. 10 seconds, 20, 30. Keanu turned off his mic too. 2 men sitting side by side, just looking at each other. Jamie was panicking. 30 seconds of dead air? Disaster. But then he saw the chat. History is happening. Don't touch it. This is sacred. We're seeing the real Joe for the first time. 47 seconds. Then Rogan turned his mic back on. Just now, he said softly. I was truly silent for the first time in my life. And I heard something. What? My voice, my real voice, tired, scared, but honest. How did it feel? Terrifying and freeing. Keanu smiled for the first time. A real smile. Now, he said, maybe the real podcast can begin. What do you mean? 200 million people are listening to you, but maybe for the first time, it's your turn to hear them. Rogan nodded. Jamie, open the chat, unfiltered, raw, let's see. Comments poured in. Joe, I can't talk to my dad either. I'm crying for the first time in 20 years. I thought I'd vanish if I went silent. Thank you for being real. Rogan kept crying as he read. So many people, so much pain, and so much courage, said Keanu. They're sharing because you did. All I did was stay silent. No, you listened. Really listened. Rogan turned to Keanu. How do you live with it? This silence, this depth? You learn, bit by bit. At first you drown, then you float, then you dive, and at the bottom, what's there? Yourself. What if I don't like what I find? You don't have to like it, just get to know it. Rogan faced the mic again. Listeners, I don't know what to say. For the first time in 32 years, I have no script, no punchlines, just me. And honestly, I'm scared. Keanu reached over and touched his shoulder. Fear is a beginning, too. Do you think, Rogan asked, and do you think my audience will forgive me for performing all these years? There's nothing to forgive. You were just trying to figure out how to be human, like all of us. But I was supposed to lead, be the guru, the alpha. Maybe, Keanu said. The greatest leadership is the courage to be vulnerable. The final minutes of the podcast approached. Rogan looked at the clock, then at Keanu. I don't know how to end this. I always have a final speech. Motivation, power, but now, I just want to be quiet. Then be quiet. And Rogan went quiet. So did Keanu. 2 men side by side, sharing silence with 200 million people. 60 seconds. Then Rogan, almost in a whisper. Thank you. For what? For stopping me. I didn't stop you, you stopped yourself. What happens tomorrow? People will expect old Joe back. Maybe they'll want to meet the new Joe. What if there is no new Joe? What if it's just emptiness? It's not emptiness, it's space, room to grow. Final 30 seconds. Rogan took a deep breath and spoke. Dear listeners, I've spoken for 32 years. Maybe it's time I stop for a bit. I don't know, but I'll learn. And maybe we'll learn together. Keanu added, his voice calm and steady, and take 1 minute, just 1 minute of silence, and listen, whoever you hear, that's you. The podcast ended. The red light went off. The two men stood. They hugged. A real hug. Two men unmasked, unguarded. I tried to break you, Rogan said again. You did, but it wasn't me who broke. Then what? The illusion. As they left the studio, Rogan turned one last time. Keanu, what if I never speak again? Keanu smiled. Then maybe you'll finally start to live. That night, hashtag the day Rogan stopped talking hit #1 globally. But more importantly, millions of people went silent for 1 full minute. And in that silence, they heard themselves. Some cried, some laughed, some just breathed. But all of them, for the first time, truly listened. And Joe Rogan? The next day, he went to the cemetery. After 32 years, he sat by his father's grave, and he didn't speak. He just sat. And maybe for the first time, he made peace. If this moment touched you, if something in the silence echoed in your own story, subscribe. Not just to hear more, but to remember how to listen.